Hey, welcome to Viking Preparedness. I'm Pastor Joe Fox. I've been working on that ceiling up there today, putting those boards on there. Do I have one laying around? Stand by. Stand by. We're using boards that look like this. Can you see that? They overlap each other. We're putting them on the ceiling, screwing them in. It's going up. All right. What are you doing? My dog just went out through the screen door and the chickens were on the porch, so I'm actually glad they got scared. I don't want chicken poop on my porch. So that's what that chaos was. Never a dull moment here on Shofar Mountain. Where was I? Oh yeah, so we're putting them up there using screws. They're going up fine. A little bit of fiddle-faddling because, you know, I built this house with my wife and it ain't perfect. So every board is kind of a little bit different length. Whatever. All right. This second take on this video, it comes to you inspired by Dan, our own Viking Dan. And he asked a question along the lines of, hey, there's these two medical courses. Which one should I take first? Which one should I take second? I want to take these courses so that I look better for a group seeking to select members. You know, it'd make me look good and they'll take me, or more valuable, or whatever. Words to that effect. Here's the deal. Number one, it's a fantasy that one sees on the internet. What type of skill sets would you like in your group? I'd like a blacksmith and a heavy equipment operator and a security guy and they're dreaming, right? They're dreaming. The reality is groups take what they can get for members with two. And this is in my personal opinion, but it is based on some broad experience all across the country, probably without counting them up in my head, I don't know, 5 or 6, 7 places that I lived and groups that I joined, and some places there were more than one group that I kind of checked out. Nobody's out there saying, all right, the next person we need is a medical person. We're not taking anybody but a medical person. It's fantasy. People are going to select you into their group based on two things. Number one, and most importantly at all, is something I just call personality. Your personality. Do they like you? Can they see themselves and their families going through terrible times with you and your family? That's number one. You got to have something going on that people want to hang out with you and they can envision themselves hanging out with you in the future. Number two is, are you going to be a burden to our group? Because if you're going to be a net burden to the group, they're not going to take you. And so what can you do? Because the whole thing about skill sets and everything, that fits in to the personality category. But if I come across as just, some people think I'm an arrogant jerk. Okay. I'm unsubscribing. You're an arrogant jerk. Bye. But, you know, if I come across as an arrogant jerk with questionable personal hygiene and I speak in a manner that drives you crazy or your spouse crazy or your kids crazy or whatever, and I'm just like, bleh. But hey, I'm a former Green Beret. I've got EMT skills. I got, you know, blacksmithing skills. I can do all these different, I have all these skill sets. Man, all the skill sets in the world aren't going to outweigh a crappy personality, right? Flip that coin over. Hey, if you have a teachable spirit, second time I've used that, I think, in 2 videos. If you have a teachable spirit, people will bring you on board. We'll make you the next heavy equipment operator. We're sending you to heavy equipment operator school. How's that? Can't be a burden on the group. If the group looks at you and goes, ugh, you know, you got nothing. We're going to have to give you a gun. We're going to have to give you food. We're going to have to build you a shelter. We're going to have to buy you a pair of boots. We're going to have to get your, you know, whatever the group decides is standard for the group, and you don't have none of that, and you have no means to get that, you're going to have some awesome skill sets to make the group want to overcome your deficits in their mind to bring you on board. Human nature. I will tell you this. Right now, in these times, because there is no big emergency yet, right? Money could go a long way. You could have a lot of money and you could show up and say, yeah, I can't walk, more than 100 yards without having to sit down, and I have no skill sets you can use, but I'm nice and I have a good personality. I have no food. I don't, but I have a lot of money, and if you tell me what to buy, I'll buy it, and I can buy something for the group too. Dun, 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 dun. As long as you have a decent personality, they'll probably bring you on board. After the balloon goes up, after the event starts, all the money in the world's not going to help you. Because now what they're looking at is let's use food. We have this much food in our mind that's going to last this long for these many people, and here comes you with no food. That means any food that we give you, we're taking from our little girl's mouth. Boy, you better have some pretty serious skill sets. And that might even not cut it. So, how can you get into a group? We go over and over and over that. What can you do now if you can't get into a group to ensure you can get into a group later? Have a lot of assets. I've been thinking about this. You can't find anybody to be in your group. Again, I think the problem, 50% of that problem is looking at you in the mirror. I do. I know that's harsh, right? You don't understand, PJ. I think I do. Actually, you're not trying hard enough, or you got something going on that's just like, it's harsh, right? 5 people are going to quit. But maybe you're the other 50%. It ain't about you. What can you do? Gather a lot of assets. Gather a lot of assets so that when a group shows up or forms or whatever in your area, you can say, hey guys, how you doing? I have a warehouse of wheat. I have 15 grain grinders, and I have a Connex full of medical supplies. I'd really like to be part of your group. Oh, also, I'm fit and able and capable. I'm not bringing any long-term deficits with me, and I have a personality that you can relate to. How about it? They'll go huddle. They'll talk. They'll say, yeah, let's try them out. Depending on the group, they could go huddle, come back, put a bullet in your head, and take all your stuff. I mean, that's why you want a group now. You want to know what you're dealing with now. But maybe that's the best you can do. And so if you don't have a group now, you should keep gathering assets. Gather the assets first. Don't try and think of this. That's the other thing. What should I store for barter materials? Unless you have everything else squared away, you shouldn't store anything for barter materials. Square yourself away so that you don't need to barter. That's the first thing you should do. But you should make yourself and your family as squared away as possible if you want to be an asset to a group. That means have lots of food for you and your family. Have the means to protect that food. Firearms and ammunition. Know how to shoot them. The better you are, the more you go up in the little chart, right? Know medical skills. Have medical equipment. Have the ability to cook your own food. Have a stove or know how to build a fire. Somebody just posted and I answered to them. They said, I don't think there's many people that could, my words, whatever. Don't let them get in the way of the truth. I don't think there's many people that could just wander off into the woods and survive. I tried it once and it was 50 degrees that night and I was freezing and it didn't work. I was unsuccessful. Yeah, skill sets lacking much. Train yourself. Get better at that. Get self-sufficient. Do what you can do to square yourself away so that when you show up with a group, you're a net asset. It's like, yep, we don't need to tell that person how to start a fire. We can just say, go start a fire. We're getting ready to cook some beans. Hey, go get the beans and rice ready. We're going to have that for supper. Do you know how to cook beans and rice? You should. Things like that. Somebody's injured. Do you know how to dress a wound? Just basic kind of pioneer living skills, right? Have those in spades. Have everything you need for you and your family. That's what you should focus on now if you don't have a group. You should be focusing on getting a group, clearly. But I feel like I'm beating a dead horse with you guys on that. Square yourself away. Grow a huge garden. Grow an orchard. Raise animals. Learn all the things that you can do. So that when the time comes, you either can join a group or check this. Can you imagine if you decided, I just like using a year, it's a good standard little thing, you know, a year supply of food. Okay, I got a year supply of food for me, the wife, and the 3 kids. We're squared away. Now, can you imagine if you stored a year supply of food for 10 other people also? Ooh, that might kind of put you a little bit in the driver's seat. People are wandering around out there lost, and all of a sudden here comes a trauma surgeon whose husband, let's not be sexist here, the trauma surgeon's husband is also an emergency room nurse. And they're not gay. It's a female surgeon. And they come wandering down the road. They got nothing except 2 little day packs. Might be pretty cool to bring them on board, assuming they had a personality you could stand. Right? But if you already had 10 years worth of 10 people years worth of food, you could be like, yeah, that's good math. You guys can come on. Right? You meet somebody else who's knows how to get your generator up and running again. They got no food. All right, well, that's another person. Boom. You're starting to build your own little tribe because you have something to provide them. It's another way of looking at it. Another alternative. What kills me, what goes against almost every fiber in my being is when people say, well, I guess I'll just die because I'm this and that and this and that and I can't do anything. Yep, you're probably going to die. Because you've already quit. You've already quit here. You just listed all your liabilities. Number 1, what are you doing to mitigate those liabilities? I'm old and fat and have a heart condition and 2 blown out knees. Okay, why are you fat? Can't get young, but you can act younger. You can get fitter. Everybody can get fitter. CrossFit champion last year can get fitter. You've heard it before, right? Work on your assets. Work on your assets so that when the time comes, people are like, yep, we'll take you on board. But the 2 biggest things, I really think, number 1, your personality. Can they stand you? Do they like you? And then number 2, not being a logistical burden to the group. Being a logistical plus. All right, I hope that's useful. Maybe it gets some brain gears turning in a different direction. If you have other ideas, please feel free to comment down below, except don't put any links. All right, I'll see you out there.